So you've mentioned a couple of times Hope Not Hate.
Yeah.
Not everyone will be familiar with who they are, but you've done some investigating into them. What can you tell me about them that you've uncovered? Maybe you can give a little overview of who they are. I mean, I think they're the most odious group in the country, but you can perhaps give a more balanced, less... well, give me the Charlotte Gill overview of Hope Not Hate.
Hope Not Hate. They would say they're an anti-fascist organisation. They have had taxpayer funding. They got given about £140,000 2019 to 20 when Boris Johnson was PM.
The way I've looked, as far as I've seen into Hope Not Hate, astonishing is that they're taxpayer funded, but they themselves appear to be far left. And it's still astonishing to me that the news agents who claim or sort of wear this veneer of being centrist and reasonable still cite Hope Not Hate without realising how extreme this group are. Do you think that's a fair analysis?
Yeah, well, the news agents, I don't like Global, which produces the news agents, because I think it's used for a lot of left-wing propaganda. But leaving that aside, Hope Not Hate, they really get away with a lot. And the way they do that is to do with their organisational structure. They are registered as a charity and a private limited partnership. And the private wing funds Hope Not Hate charitable wing, so they're able to get around the fact, being quite rude about people. They can be like, oh, that was the private wing and so forth. But it's just extraordinary that Boris Johnson was Prime Minister when they got funding, because they were lobbying against Susan Hall, the Conservative candidate for Mayor of London.
What were they doing to lobby against her?
They were giving out a lot of leaflets, things saying that she was racist, like really unpleasant propaganda. Yeah, and they just do hit campaigns. They put together these dossiers, and they also get away with things that other people wouldn't. Like Nick Lowe's around the time.
Nick Lowe's the main character
he's the director, and he's sort of an agitator, because around the time of the riots last year after Southport, the sort of immediate ones, he went around he being very inflammatory, going around, and he made up that a Muslim woman was attacked with acid, and I didn't see him get done for misinformation or arrested, and these were inflammatory. I would, perhaps they were designed to agitate people, get people out of their houses so they could be arrested for crimes. But I think it's one good thing is people have got so sick of them, especially now they know that they've got taxpayer funding. But also, I mean, like I say with the charity sector, I am really interested in who the private funders, because there's so much cross-pollination. So the more you dig into the private funders, the more you understand how this blob is all being glued together with the same groups and funding. And just to reiterate, Unbound Philanthropy funds Hope Not Hate.
Unbound
Philanthropy, that's a US organisation. So that's the same one that funds City of Sanctuary charity. And it raises the question, what's this US funder doing promoting this group? It's obviously about... I would say that it's about promoting more immigration and keep, making that happen. And then the other one is Paul Hamlyn Foundation. They gave last count, about £585,000 to Hope Not Hate charitable trust. Yeah. I find Paul Hamlyn in a lot of charities, and so it's really...
Can you tell me more about him?
Well, he's dead now. He died about 20 years ago. I think he was a German Jew. I think he moved over before the Nazis unleashed their horrors, and then he was a philanthropist after he sold books, I think, and became very successful. Then with all his wealth, set up a philanthropic organisation. It's interesting, the Paul Hamlyn Foundation, because obviously his politics are being interpreted today, and I see this a lot in terms of another area I sometimes look into is Quakers, because Quaker foundations have huge amounts of money, and they've been set up by people like the Roundtrees, who were responsible for confectionery, and the Cadbury family, the chocolates. These people were in that period of time, in the 19th century, or for Paul Hamlyn, early 20th century, they had very progressive values, and they were successful business people, so they were able to channel that. But those progressive values might mean something completely different within that period to how they're being interpreted now.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder, like, would Hamlyn, how his vision after escaping from the Nazis, how would his vision be? What would he make of some of the grants that are going out now, which are potentially very divisive? So yeah, it is interesting to investigate. It's something I mean to do more, like investigate. I've been trying to read about Quakers because it's really important to understand, because they have Joseph Rowntree Foundation, Barry Cadbury. They're a very big part of the left-wing infrastructure as well. So the more you understand about the history...
Yes. There's a worldview of... The most famous is George Soros and the Open Society Foundation. He was inspired by Karl Popper with the name and the ideology. And it's after the war, rightly, of the horrors of the Holocaust, there was an idea of never again. And one of the ideologies that sort of emerged out of that was this sort of open border ideology, and nationalism is bad, and so everyone is equal and we must let everyone be. And that's sort of, I think, one of the wrong lessons they learned from that period. And so you have people like the Soros family who are funding projects all over the world that encourage immigration, and they don't realize the negative consequences of their actions. I think that's part of the kind of what you're describing a little bit. The British arm of it, maybe.
I do think about that a lot, because I think I don't want to be completely rude about open borders. I would understand if I was a Jewish person that had escaped persecution. That would mean something so different, or anyone that, especially in those areas. But yeah, the problem now is it's become something so different. It's just being exploited by economic migrants.
Quite.
And it's making countries... It's making there less places. Eventually, there won't be as many safe places to escape to, in a dystopian future. But yeah, that is something I'm very conscious of, how people's messages of the past are being interpreted today, whether they need to adapt, but because the person is dead, how do you do that? And have the Marxists just decided for you in a way that you would find, if this person was still alive, would think, hang on, this needed to evolve.
Yeah, quite. Thanks for watching this clip from the Winston Marshall Show. You can click here to watch the full episode. And for more clips like this one, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, be well.